Don't let the beauty fool you. And don't let PC Part Picker fool you into thinking that a system is worth $2,500 when in fact many things are thrown into it that shouldn't be, considering the CPU and GPU chosen. We're gonna break it all down in this video.
If you're upset about that inconsiderate Windows activation watermark plaguing your screen, snag an OEM license. SCD Key makes it simple. You have one in a few seconds for a little over $10, then click here, 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 and then here, paste your activation key, and you can kiss that watermark goodbye. And be sure to use my new offer code GSL for a 12% discount on your order.
I've gotta admit, I'm a sucker for a white build, and with a hint of red mixed in as well, I have no doubt you'll agree that this thing is sexy AF. We've got custom sleeve cables for days, we've got a beautiful white AIO, a tasteful white case, white fans, an overall clean layout. At first glance, you might think this system is actually worth its asking price, $2,500, and funny enough, you'll see that it is according to PC Part Picker as well, right? The builder knows what he's doing, and that's always something to look out for. Clean builds typically indicate experienced builders, and it can mean the difference between a system that works and one that doesn't, and I'm sure at least some of us have run into a system that doesn't work, even though it was advertised as working, or maybe it just had its lights on, but it doesn't actually post. And that's a hit or miss thing, especially on a site like eBay or like Facebook Marketplace. But what kind of value should you put on this attention to detail, right? Or the custom sleeve cables, the custom fans? Of course, we need to consider the market value of the components themselves, but what about a build fee? I want to talk about that a bit in this video as well, because cunning ads like these can easily fool inexperienced buyers into thinking that the system makes sense for the price. So the ad starts off with gaming high-performance desktop PC with monitors, in all caps of course. That's one way to grab attention, but something else that grabs attention is this list price. $2,500 is no slouch, and with that you could build one hell of a system today. So this one better be a good one. New custom build with Windows 10 Pro included, again, in all caps, of course. I've said this before, sellers often use the Windows activation callout as a vice for their inflated prices. It's like a $100 extra fee, right? They'll point to Newegg and elsewhere with listings exceeding $100 for an activation key. It's ridiculous, frankly, to expect the buyer of a used PC, contrary to what this says, to pay up in full for a license. Windows runs perfectly fine with the watermark. That's probably news to some of you. You don't even need to activate and you can still run it just fine. And sites like our sponsor sell volume keys for cheap. You could even take a chance on an eBay key for even cheaper than that if you really wanted. But point is, who cares? You'd have to be stupid to leverage a $120 Windows license in a used build. But it happens all the time and it kind of drives me crazy. And let's be honest, do you really think that this seller paid $120 for his Windows key? All parts with original boxes and under warranty. I'd definitely verify this before buying. Everything included: PC, 3 full HD Samsung monitors, gaming Corsair K70 keyboard, gaming Corsair mouse. This guy think the word gaming is like an upsell? I'm sure it is in some parts of the world. Actually, probably is here as well, which is kind of sad. Also, I'm sick of sellers failing to specify components. What the heck? What kind of Samsung monitors are these? If you aren't willing to take the time to list the model numbers, I'm going to assume they're cheap, because you'd better believe they'll be very specific about the expensive stuff. Happens all the time. We also just get a quick gaming Corsair mouse mention, which does literally nothing for me except indicate the manufacturer. Maybe you'll get lucky and see an up close shot in the pictures, but yeah, that shouldn't be the burden of the buyer. If I list a car on Auto Trader, I'm not just gonna call it a Toyota. I'm gonna specify the model, not just the make. Toyota Camry, Toyota Corolla. You get the point. But anyway, on to the good stuff. We've got a Ryzen 5 2600X, Asus Prime X470 motherboard, 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 and H100i AIO, a GTX 1070, okay, didn't expect that. A 750 watt G3 power supply, a 500 gig SSD, 4 terabyte hard drive. Housing everything's a Corsair Spec Omega fitted with 6 LL120 fans, 2 of which come from the AIO, a Commander Pro, and an LED strip. In short, this is a solid PC for 1080p and 1440p gameplay and generally medium to high presets, but at $2,500 US, it's extremely overpriced. Even though PC Part Picker says it's technically not. We'll go through some of that stuff a bit later, but anyway. Even with the 3 monitors included, I'd say it's very overpriced. Let's price it out though. Assuming you wanted to build this entire system with new parts, which would be difficult to do and I wouldn't recommend specifically for the graphics card, you'd be set back roughly, oh, hold on a minute. This says $2,787.59. That means a $2,500 asking price is actually somewhat reasonable, right? We're missing something here. We've gotta be. Or maybe we're missing a few things. Let's start from the top. We've got the Ryzen 5 2600X at $145. That's a great price, by the way. H100i at $160. That's fine. An X570 motherboard, an upgrade over his X471 because that one's no longer listed on PCP at $150 USD. The 3200 megahertz Vengeance RAM, all 32 gigs of it for $163. Then we've got storage, $100 for a 4TB hard drive, just under $90 for an NVMe drive. But we've got this GTX 1070 for the win from EVGA here. And look, I have no problem with that card in and of itself. I loved and still love the GTX 1070. Great value card, especially in the used market. And look, you need to know this going into it. They don't make these cards anymore. I'm not sure if that's news to some of you, but it's a gen old, right? Instead of what few listings you will find typically that are new are marked up from third-party sellers, not Amazon or Newegg specifically. It's the case here as well. You'd have to be a moron, okay? A moron to pay $727.29 for a GTX 1070 in 2020. I mean, come on. Do I really need to say that? You can find these all day long for $200 on eBay, and in great shape, mind you. Some will even ship with original packaging. So be diligent. Don't be afraid to dabble in used hardware online. eBay buyer protection guarantee is pretty great, and the unlikely event of a DOA would mean that you'll end up getting your money back. I mean, it's really kind of it's a no-lose situation with the exception of your time with shipping the product back. That can be a pain, I admit. The used market is where much of the best bang for the buck exists, but if you're keen on sticking with new hardware, hey, it's your money, spend it how you want. I suggest something like a GTX 1660 Super, which will deliver comparable 1070 performance for just over $200 brand new. So, I mean, if you're talking $200 for a used 1070 or $230 for a new 1660 Super, just get the Super most of the time. But when we factor in updated pricing, we're still at over 2,000 USD on PC Part Picker. I didn't even include the custom cables in this thing, right? That would put us another $100 or so. So what the heck is going on? The problem is with our hardware assumptions. I have no clue who would need a triple 60Hz Samsung cheap monitor setup, but it's added nearly $500 to the price on PC Part Picker, and we're assuming these are new monitors listed in the ad, which, I'm sorry, it's just not the case. You open the box, you set them up, you likely used them, therefore they are used. Again, does this need like an explanation? Let's take these things off. Right? We don't need these up here anymore. Next, the H100i SE comes with 2 LL fans already. You can see it says it right there. So stating that there are 6 in total is a bit redundant. I know why he did it. I'm not gonna really dock him for it, but I added 2 3-packs thinking there were 6 in total added after, he bought the case in the IO, but it already comes with 2. So I'm taking one of those off. That alone saves us over 100 USD. These things are expensive. The Windows 10 Pro inclusion is often used as a tool for sellers to ask $100 more simply because retail keys sell for that on Newegg and elsewhere. We just talked about this, but in a budget build, I highly recommend you look elsewhere. I really don't think this guy paid full retail price for a retail key. Either way, expecting us to include a $100 key in a used PC build is just a bit ridiculous. I sure as heck wouldn't do it. These deductions bring us down to just over 1,500 USD, which is still a lot for this caliber of build, but considerably less than the asking price. If you ask me, I'd scrap the H100i altogether. The stock cooler will do, or just tack on like a $20 or $30 Hyper 212, something like that. Drop the RAM to 16 gigs, all you need for gaming. Swap the X470 board for a B451. I promise you won't notice a difference apart from a few extra features here or there. Scrap the overpriced case, switch the 750 watt G3 to something a bit more reasonable. Ditch the expensive fans and cut out the remaining peripherals altogether. Trimming the fat, I like to call it. Because the truth is, you could throw like this extra money into hardware that will actually improve your gaming and content creation experiences. Like your CPU and graphics card. I probably didn't need to say that, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Those are the things that really matter in your system. RAM potentially, motherboard more or less down to compatibility, but there are some features you might wanna look for in motherboards. The cheap Samsung monitors he's trying to lump in here are gonna, yeah. They're not gonna do that for you. They're really not gonna give you an experience you would expect in a $2,500 gaming PC. It's just not gonna happen. And the keyboard and mouse, yeah, they could possibly improve your gameplay, but there are cheaper options out there and they get the job done, right? And heck, you may already have those things, so why would you be forced to pay for them again? And that's ultimately why I titled this video what I have. Sellers love to cram rainbow puke into their builds. I can attest to this firsthand. It does help sell systems, but it doesn't magically make your systems hundreds of dollars more expensive. Take, for example, the LL120 fans alone. Like, we're talking well over $200 for 6 of those fans. It's insane. The one thing I'd probably keep are the custom cables, which I'd expect to add somewhere between 50 and 100 bucks to the total. That's just a personal touch. It's subjective. You might not think it's worth it in a system like this, but that's the joy of PC building. Build whatever the heck you want. The seller also emphasizes the brand new aspect of a system, but the truth of the matter is, we have no way of verifying the statement. And if you ask me personally, I'd wager it wasn't built recently. I mean, it's rocking a 1070 for Pete's sake. Not that there's, again, anything wrong with a 1070, but I highly doubt he went out of his way to spend hundreds of dollars more than he should have for a new GTX 1070. And that card's going on 4 years old now. He could have also bought the card used on eBay. I mean, he does have the box in the picture, which is what I would recommend. All right? eBay is the best bet, especially for cards that are a gen or two old. But that would mean that his system isn't magically new anymore because it's using one of the key components is used. I mean, yeah, come on. Look, there's nothing inherently wrong with the combination of parts here. And if I'm being completely honest, there's nothing wrong with the price on paper, technically speaking. If you wanted to build exactly what he has here, apart from the overpriced GTX 1070, which that's one thing that he probably thought he'd get away with, but he's not gonna on this channel. He's kind of on the money. I hate to say that, but the problem lies with the priorities. He missed the mark totally there. You may think this system slays for $2,500, and pricing things out on PCP probably reaffirms this notion. It probably did for him. But at the end of the day, a PC worth $2.5 grand shouldn't just only have a Ryzen 5 CPU and a GTX 1070 GPU. For $2,500, I could build something insanely more powerful that would still look great. It would destroy this thing. Heck, I'd even make it white for you. And I promise I won't break your back on a labor charge, which, no, people charge outrageous sums of cash for that as well. Too many people think they can get all of their money back, some think they can even make money, on their used systems. And too many people are still uninformed as to what's good and what's bad, from a price perspective as well as a hardware perspective. If you guys like this one, click the thumbs up button. I appreciate that. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. My name's Greg. Thanks for $500,000, and thanks for learning with me.